it is being recorded, as you heard, so that we all can share this with others who weren't able to attend, or maybe to listen back on important pieces that may be helpful in training and learning. And we're hosting it this day, November 14th, but National Injury Prevention Day is actually coming up Saturday, November 18th. And many places around the country are celebrating, honoring National Injury Prevention Day to bring awareness to the significance of injury and violence prevention and advocacy efforts. Locally, we're going to see some green buildings on that day, because green is an affirming color, symbols peace. In fact, for our work, it symbolizes violence and injury prevention. We'll see Harborview Medical Center, the Convention Center, Seattle Children's Hospital, and we naturally score, because as it kind of being a Seahawks weekend, the football stadium and Columbia Tower naturally cycle through shades of green as well. The last couple of years, we focused on our drowning prevention work and working to educate and inform and help explore lifeguarding for our pools and beaches as we continue to address safety there. And this workshop is a collaboration between Harborview Injury Prevention and Research Center. You'll see the folks there with this light green background, Seattle Children's, Isabel Sakamoto, Public Health Seattle, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. County, our only county in the United States named after Dr. King, Splash Forward, and Amazon. So I'm Tony Gomez, and I manage injury prevention and Public Health Seattle and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. County, and also am one of the co-leads with our statewide drowning prevention network. And my co-facilitator, Susan, do you want to introduce yourself real quickly?
You bet. Hi there, everybody. Welcome. My name is Susan Pappalardo, and I with a nonprofit called Splash Forward, and we are advocating for new public aquatic facilities. And we have a high school lifeguard training program, and excited to share this whole evening with you and help you on your journey to become lifeguards.
Thanks, Susan. And Alex and Isabel, you want to introduce yourselves very quickly here?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming and just spending the next hour and a half with us. I am the Senior Public Information Specialist here at the Harborview Injury Prevention and Research Center, and just excited to be here with you all.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Isabel Sakamoto with Seattle Children's on the community health team, doing suicide and injury prevention work. So appreciate all of you being here today.
Thank you. And so whether you're from King County area or not, we welcome you. We want to acknowledge our impacts of drowning and drowning survivors, and yours of other experiences with swimming and learning to swim and teaching others to swim, as well as being safe around, on, or near water. And that'll help inspire us all to make a difference. So some workshop reminders include use the chat box for questions and comments. Isabel's going to be monitoring that. And please stay muted unless speaking. And then please go ahead and introduce yourself, your name and high school or school in the chat. And a follow-up question to add in there would be where you swim or spend time in or near the water. And then if you have accessibility issues or need only technical assistance, please message one of our moderators via the Zoom chat, Isabel or Alex, and they will help you. And if you're hard of hearing or do not have access to audio, you can enable closed captions by pressing the selected button on your Zoom menu below, if you have not already done so on your end. So we're quite proud that both our King County Executive Dal Constantine, our Seattle Mayor Bruce Harold have issued proclamations for November 18th, National Injury Prevention Day. Our efforts for this event and throughout all year long are recognized by all our elected leaders. I know that Mayor Harold learned to swim at the downtown YMCA and swam a lot as a youth, and throughout his times at various public pools and parks. And Executive Constantine actually learned to swim over at the West Seattle Y and also spent a lot of time at our various public pools and facilities. And I'm in touch with both offices on a regular basis to talk about how we're doing and where we're at and what's being accomplished. And I'm just gonna mention really quickly a little bit of the whereas proclamations, what these actually say. Just a couple of the whereases. So whereas unintentional injury and violence are leading cause of death or disability to children 1 to 18, and injuries are a significant public health problem in our state, drowning being the third leading cause of unintentional injury death among Washington children 1 to 18. Therefore, Bruce Harrell, Mayor of Seattle, Val Constantine, Executive of King County, hereby do proclaim November 18th to be National Injury Prevention Day. So we all recognize the need to improve healthy environments. So that includes having safe environments. So, you know, some of the work that you all do day to day or are thinking about doing as you become a lifeguard, exploring this will help make our community a safer and healthier community. Let's see here. So then in terms of our workshop overview, Susan?
Yeah, great. So today, while you're here, you're obviously interested in learning more. What does it take to become a lifeguard? So our agenda, what we're going to go through with you today is we'll share, we actually shared our introductions, but why be a lifeguard? We're going to kind of talk about what the impact you have in being a lifeguard and why it's so essential in our communities and the important role that it is, not only for skills you're going to learn, but how you keep your community safe and your peer groups. Tony will help share some statistics on our community and in King County, in our state as well, and just some solid facts on water safety. We'll give you an overview of what lifeguard training looks like, what the expectations are, the skills, the prerequisites. We want to make sure your questions are answered. So today, as we go through this, just put your questions in the chat, and we have lots of people watching, and even our student lifeguards will help chime in and give you their responses. We have two panels. Our first panel, we have some excellent aquatic managers and lifeguard instructors with us we will ask them some questions and help them share what they look for at their facilities, at their beaches. So you can see and hear from them. Some of these people may be your future manager. So it's good for you to just hear from them what they're looking for and have an introduction, and we'll have a discussion, and you'll be invited at any time to ask questions, but we will reserve time at the end of our panels for questions and answers. Then our second panel is with our student lifeguards. So people who were in your shoes not so long ago, on their journey to become lifeguards. And now some of them are lifeguards and swim instructors. And then we will answer last questions, and we'll wrap up and help you understand the next steps you're going to take to sign up and register with our program that will support you to achieve any further skill development you might need, or to sign you up for lifeguard certification.
Thanks, Susan.
You bet.
So as we talk about career development and why being a lifeguard, you know, again, thank you for your interest in this and the underlying that we'll be sharing a lot. And you may have questions as the evening goes along here. And we want to meet you where you're at in your swim or lifeguarding journey. Lots of great support around the region here. And you don't have to be a competitive swimmer to be an effective and excellent lifeguard. In fact, I've often seen some of our best guards. We're not the most competitive swimmer, but they are just so good and attentive. They anticipate things, and they're, you know, among the best lifeguards I've ever seen or worked with. And, you know, you have a direct impact to operate and offer essential swim lessons as well. So swimming being a lifelong exercise option that helps reduce chronic disease, keeps one healthy throughout their whole life. So, you know, you develop communication and leadership skills, You're part of a team. You support each other. You bring each other up. Good way to make money. I've been seeing some of the competition among the different entities offering really good wages and opportunities to grow, whether you're doing it through high school or college or a little bit beyond. It's a great opportunity to grow in all your skills, including swimming skills. So you're a great service to your community. You contribute to a safer community. You save lives, you prevent trouble, and you're a role model for others. And, you know, as I was reflecting on this, I was thinking about some of the conversations I've had with leadership. And I would argue, and others have as well, that being a lifeguard is the least expensive part of our healthcare business industry, if you will, for this type of thing. You know, a lifeguard making $22 an hour and prevents a drowning or near drowning, a devastating lifelong injury, certainly prevents an EMS call, transport to the hospital, maybe an airlift into Harborview, emergency room care, intensive room care, maybe neurological devastation that may lead to lifelong nursing home needs, or worse, in a fatal case as well, where there's just a loss of income. So you're an important part of that healthcare system. And I know personally, being a lifeguard, you end up saving folks in situations you didn't expect. So some of you may have already saved family members, saved friends, been out at the beach just enjoying yourself and saved somebody else from drowning. So it makes you like a 24/7 valuable member of the community. And there is just a national and local shortage. And we were talking about it before we got going. Some of our South End beaches, want to be staffed up and lifeguarded. And there just is, this will help with developing this. And there's so lots of hiring going on. And so with that, we do have a poll coming up.
Yes, we do. So let me get our first poll going. And let me know if you guys see this poll.
We see it.
Awesome. All right. So the first question, if you all can answer the poll, is what type of water do most of the drownings in Washington state occur? Is it 1, swimming pools, water parks, hot tubs? Is it 2, natural water, lakes, rivers, streams, and oceans? Is it through boating, boats, canoes, kayaks, and paddleboards? Or is it the last one, which is bathtubs? So I'll give you a few more, about another 30 seconds to respond, and then I will let you all know the answer. All right. I think I got everyone. Oh no, there's still a few more trickling in. I'll give it a few more minutes. Seconds.
We should have the Jeopardy music playing.
I know, I just thought of that. You read my mind. Well, if you selected, share the results, natural water, which is lakes, rivers, streams, and ocean, that is correct. And I will actually have Tony explain why.
Wow, you folks got it exactly right. It is about 2/3 of our drownings occur in natural or open waters, lakes, rivers, and streams, with boating about 16%, which is kind of a subset of that. Swimming pools, water parks, hot tubs are less than 10%. Used to be much more, but everybody does such a nice job with, especially the public health inspected regulated facilities and all that. And then we still do see a lot of drownings in bathtubs. And it's a whole nother issue, but the highest rate of drowning does occur among 70 to 74-year-olds, followed by 50 to 54. And the highest number was, was 30 to 34-year-olds with about 48 deaths. But the rates have been going down generally, with the exception of teens. So that's an important area that we're all working on, including you all. And so just again, thanks for hanging with us this evening. And one of the things that we've already determined here, thanks to Isabel, is that 56 children and teens drowned in Washington from 2019 to 2021. And that's an increase from the previous 3-year period of 47 from 2018 to 2020, a little bit of overlap, but that's part of that increase we're talking about. And for each drowning death, another 8 receive emergency department care and suffer lifelong health issues. I know many families actually across the country and a few locally that are dealing with a neurologically devastated family member that'll never be the same. And as we discussed, most drownings do happen in our open water areas. You know, we got it everywhere, right? Like Washington, like Meridian, like Sammamish, Puget Sound, Snoqualmie River, Green River, all those sorts of places. And we do see disparities due to institutional racism, where folks, Black people, other people of color just haven't had the opportunities to learn to swim and water safety as others have had. And it's definitely a male problem. 10 males drown for every 1 female that drowns. And to counter that, we do know that there are evidence-based things that we know that work. Learning to swim is the best practice, upgrading your skills every year. It's good to get in the pool. Wearing a Coast Guard approved life jacket, another proven best practice. Swimming in designated areas with lifeguards. That's been proven as well. And this is part of the area of why you're learning about this. Practicing active supervision. So that means undistracted, not on phones, not chatting away, actually watching people in the water and making sure they stay safe, and then being aware of the weather and water conditions. Sometimes in early spring, the safest thing is to stay out of the Green River or the Snoqualmie River when it's raging with spring runoff and it's just deadly and ferocious. And so you also learn how to identify and respond to emergencies, and then having CPR skills is just such a critical part of what makes you valuable throughout your life. I think about a baby that I had to do CPR on when I was a lifeguard, and just so glad it worked and she survived and is doing well all these many years. So, and with that, we're ready for another poll, and we want to highlight the drownings have gone down for everybody except for teens.
Let me get the poll.
You guys did so good on that last one. We'll have to see on this one.
Alrighty. Let me know, Tony, if you can see that.
You see it now?
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, I just want to make sure it's the right one. How can you protect yourself and others from drowning? And you can select any of these that you think may apply. Is it that you wear a life jacket when on, in, or around open water? Do you swim where there are lifeguards? Do you just learn to swim? Do you swim with a buddy and assign a water watcher? Which, if you didn't know, a water watcher is just someone who's responsible for basically alerting emergency responders if need be. It can be an adult, it can be a peer, just someone who can keep watch and notify if anything goes wrong. Or is it the last one where you read and obey posted signs? Give you a few more seconds. Pretend that there's Jeopardy music happening here.
Yeah, you don't want me trying to hum that.
Been about a minute, so we're gonna end it here. And the trick question, if you selected any of those were the correct answers. So any of the options above would have worked to try and keep yourself or someone else around you safe. So we will move on next.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'll just underscore one more thing before we go into this slide, is just that, you know, we need people to have access to water and pools to be able to learn to swim and have access. So that's one of the essential things to be able to learn how to swim, is having access. So that's another thing that we can do, is get more pools built. And so our lifeguard training program. So this is a program that Splash Forward started in 2021. We meet you where you are, and we know that not everyone has had a lot of time in the water. Some of you have, some of you haven't, but we help understand where you're at now with your skills, and we actually coordinate and do what's called skill assessments with the aquatic managers and head lifeguards at certain facilities, where you're invited to come in and be able to demonstrate your skills. We'll talk a little bit more about what those prerequisite skills are so that you understand what those are. We'll reveal that tonight. We support you in getting that lifeguard training certification. So it's called an American Red Cross certification, which is the one that most is pretty majority of all of the facilities that I know use the American Red Cross lifeguard training program. And it's called a blended learning program. So it has both online coursework and then at the facility in the water learning instructions. So we'll go over that in a little bit more detail, but that online coursework is done before you. So when you sign up for a class, you'll see that they might be a Friday to a Sunday, or they might be Saturday, Sunday. But what you complete before you show up for those classes is this online coursework. And it does take 6 to 8 hours to complete. So it is a significant moment or commitment for you to make sure that you allocate time when you choose to become ready for certification, that you have time to complete that when you sign up, and we help you understand all that. Lifeguard training classes are at your local pools, and they vary which facility is holding one. We are a one-stop resource for understanding where you're located, which facilities are near you, and helping you get registered at facilities that are close to you. So we try to stay in the know when these classes are happening and make sure that we can register you. We provide resources to find a job. So we connect you with the aquatic managers. We provide you their contact information. We help you learn a little bit about those facilities, where to look for job postings. I will just share with you, almost every facility, there's no one that has too many lifeguards or swim instructors. So this is a very in-demand job, and you're going through this process. You'd be connected to facilities that will if you have an interest in knowing where you want to work, and even if you don't, we help you understand where your options are. We also provide I'll get into that a little bit more a little further here, but and today we're encouraging you to sign up and register to become a lifeguard, because we're providing this as we'll provide you the financial means with which to do that. So we as a group are covering the cost for you to become a lifeguard. So I think I saw one question in the registration form. There is no, if you sign up through our program and you register after you complete tonight's workshop, or tell your friends this if they are interested too, after they watch the online recording, they also can sign up. So we hope to be able to support you and others. All right, Tony, we have our first panel.
Yeah, this is very exciting. We have aquatic managers and lifeguard instructors. And so we want to remind you to please ask questions in the chat, and Isabel, Susan will monitor, and then we'll make sure that they get addressed. And then, so what I want to ask is that each of our aquatic managers or instructors introduce themselves, and then we'll get going with some questions. So Landon, why don't you give us a start here?
Hey everybody, my name is Landon Lebowski. I'm the aquatics manager for the city of Covington. So a lot of the Kent people down there, Auburn, Maple Valley, I'm right near you. So that's who I am.
Thanks, Landon. Jake Payette.
Hi, everyone. I am Jake. I'm with the City of Federal Way. Would like to apologize for hopping on late, but if anyone understands, it's all these aquatics people on one Zoom. So, yeah, I've been here with the City of Federal Way since April. Came up from Eugene, and I'm originally from Arizona. So I've kind of got a fair amount of background in multiple states. And I'm definitely excited to see a growing network here within the Seattle metro area. Yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Thanks, Jake. Welcome. Nicole.
Hi, my name is Nicole Nikula. I am the executive director at the Evergreen Aquatic Center in the White Center area. I have been a lifeguard since I was in high school, and I love teaching others how to be a lifeguard as well.
Thank you. Is Andy on yet?
I didn't see Andy yet. He's going to join us probably a little bit later, but during this panel.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
cue you when he comes on.
Sounds good. Jake Davies.
Hi guys, I'm Jake. I'm with the City of Renton. I'm the Outdoors and Aquatics Program Coordinator in the Rec Department or Division, and so I oversee the Henry Moses Aquatic Center and the public beaches in Renton.
Great. Thank you. And thank you all for taking time to attend and educate. And I guess I'll ask first question. Maybe Susan and I can go back and forth. So first question I'll direct towards a couple of you. So this will be for Landon and Nicole and Jake Davies. We'll start with you. So please share with us what your facility looks for in a lifeguard and job expectations, and talk about what it's like to be part of your staff. So Landon, you want to get us started as to how that looks?
Sure. Well, whenever we hire anybody to be a lifeguard at our pool, they do go through, obviously just a skills check, make sure that they can swim even just a little bit. But even beyond that, I'm just looking for people who are willing to try. So let's say you're not certified to be a lifeguard, we'll get you through it. If you have the will, there is a way to do it. So we're looking for mainly people who just want to experience new things, take initiative, and want to start to kind of see past and beyond just high school. There's a lot more going on out in the world than just in your classes in high school. So I'm looking for people who just take initiative and are ready to get out there at the pool.
Thank you. How about you, Nicole?
I look for lifeguards who can communicate. If they can communicate with me their needs and I can be as flexible as their school schedules allow, I do hire anybody, and whether they can swim or not, because I believe anybody can learn to be a lifeguard as long as they put in the work to do so. It is by no easy task learning how to swim, but it's always possible to do. And yeah, I always believe that everybody can learn to swim and that they can make a difference by teaching others how to swim too.
Thanks, Nicole. And you have a success story from last year's session. Can you tell our audience what kind of rolled out from your being part of this last year and students that went on?
Yeah, after kind of being on the panel last year, I got a lot of staff and we were able to successfully hold a lot of lifeguard courses kind of over this year. Back in over spring break, I trained over 20 lifeguards with a co-instructor, and I've had a lot of them join my staff and continue to change lives. It's been awesome.
Oh, just wonderful. Jake Davies, and then we'll have Jake Payette too. We'll just get you all in on this question.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of connotations with what people think like a lifeguard should look like or what exactly it is, if it's the Baywatch guy or not. But most of lifeguarding is preventative. And so something that we look for a lot in our employees is responsibility. I think Tony said it right. You don't need to be, like a world-class swimmer or even just a strong swimmer to be an effective lifeguard. I think there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily covered in that sport that make people successful employees. And so 9 times out of 10, I'd take someone who's really responsible and has a lot of duty at work and is close to being at the level they need to be for swimming. And I'd love to work with them and get them there, not disqualifying them if they can't, you can only make 4 out of the 5 tests or something. But someone who, thinks they can do it all and comes from a very strong swimming background might not be as effective at that position. I think lifeguarding is a lot of like, do people look to you in a crisis? How do you respond? Can you keep a level head, and can you be a leader? Those kinds of things. And it won't always be you who's being called upon, but it's about being ready. And that's preventative, right? It's done ahead of time. So
Yeah, important traits, qualities. Jake P.
Yeah, I think the introduction that you all laid out really kind of set this up. I really am looking for people that understand the bigger picture as far as what they truly are doing for the community. Whether that's just simply watching, some of the seniors that come in at 5 a.m. every single day to swim the laps and kind of create that relationship. People that understand that we do need people to have that true safe environment, and understanding that at the end of the day, going into retail or restaurant business, they don't have those true, not to be too dramatic or over the top, those consequences aren't there if someone doesn't show up for a shift. Someone may not get to, have the same restaurant experience versus someone doesn't show up here. There could be a very bad outcome. And so people that are understanding that, they're stepping up and being a team player to give everyone that safe aquatic environment is really something I look for. And that potentially comes a little bit after the fact, after being hired, but it's really easy to tell who understands the bigger picture and recognizes what they are doing for their community just by showing up to lifeguard.
Yeah, so it sounds like dependability and reliability is what you're looking for as kind of key traits. Did Andy show yet, Susan? And do you want to?
No, I don't see Andy yet, and I am happy to ask the next question to these awesome folks. Yeah, so you've told us a little bit about what you look for in a lifeguard. So I'm going to shift it and say, I want to have you tell and share what it's like to work at your facility, what's unique about it, what's different, what a lifeguard that comes on, and talk a little bit about that dynamic that I think Jake just mentioned, that team essence of it. What's like to be a part of the team, the lifeguard team at your facility. So let's see, I'll spin the wheel, and Nicole, I'm going to have you go first.
Yeah, so at my facility, when lifeguards come on to shift, they immediately get their hip packs. They check what's in their hip packs and make sure that they have their CPR masks, gloves, and a whistle with them. From there, they go and they kind of evaluate the facility and make sure everything is put away. There's no safety hazards. The building is just in good condition for patrons to come in. From there, people kind of our guards talk and decide who's going to guard first, who's going to guard second. If there's any secondary lifeguard tasks that need to be completed during their shift, they kind of get those tasks designated and get started on them. But at my facility, it's very interesting because we have a lot of different high school students from many different high schools all in one work environment. So a lot of them don't know each other until they start working. And it's awesome to see the kind of connection and the friendship that grows from them all being complete strangers to being friends and workplace coworkers.
Oh, excellent. And to let everybody know, you have one body of water, right? Evergreen Aquatic Center has one pool that everybody is guarding at, right?
Correct. We have a 9-lane, 25-yard pool.
Yeah. And great. Well, thank you. And that whole your world actually, you begin to develop a whole new set of team and people that and you have a whole nother community that you build around the water. Jake, let's see, Jake Pyatt, do you want to share what it's like to work at the Federal Way Community Aquatic Community Center?
Yeah, so I'm sure as many of you on the panels know, we had our leisure pool closed for almost an entire calendar year, which was certainly unforeseen. They were just going to get a new figure-8 slide, but during that renovation process, they found significant issues with the structural integrity of the pool. And so that created a much more lengthy delay. And so when I first started in April, we had just our lap pool, 6-lane, 25-yard competition pool. We do have a 1-meter board. And that was essentially it through the spring, through all of summer, which again presented its challenges for, again, the community that had become so accustomed to having the 2 different pools. Both, for senior programming and for swim lessons and for open swims. And they had to go to what many would consider to be the less impressive of the 2 pools between the leisure pool and the lap pool. So we reopened that in September. It's been going extremely well. Again, my background coming from Arizona, I was used to, to the water park type attractions with the slides and the play structures and the lazy river. And so it is really cool to be at a facility that has that in an indoor environment. And we do have both pools open essentially all day. We open our facility at 5 a.m. and the lap pool is open from then all the way until we close here at 9 p.m. And then our leisure pool opens up an hour later, so 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. as well. And during that entire time, we have programming, which I know is a challenge for a lot of facilities. And thankfully, we've been able to pull it off thus far. But it has required a lot of me getting into the lifeguard rotation and teaching swim lessons and asking our lifeguard staff to continue to step up as well, which hopefully, again, someone mentioned the flexibility in schedules. It's certainly always our goal to get back to that. And we do have a pretty flexible schedule, but again, the goal is to have programming from the second we open our facility to the minute we close. And again, thankfully, we've been able to pull that off thus far. We do have a lot of running start students as well. We obviously pull a lot of kids from the Federal Way Public School District, but we do have a couple in Auburn as well, a few in Puyallup. So we do have quite a few in kind of the South Sound area. And yeah, as far as like team atmosphere and all that, I don't think there's another profession that can that almost forces people to be in that team environment more than lifeguarding. And something fun I'm introducing here is we have an in-service this Saturday, and we're hosting our first annual Guards Giving. So instead of the traditional Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving, we'll do an in-service training for a couple hours, and then afterwards, everyone's bringing potluck food, and hopefully that can kind of facilitate more of that team atmosphere.
Excellent. Thank you, Jake. And for all of those who have yet to know what in-service is, I'm going to have you hold that and ask that as a question, and we're going to get those who we're going to get somebody else to answer what an in-service is. So anybody else who goes, you can do that, but hold on to that word. But it's really great to see that your job when you become a lifeguard, you play an essential role in the whole chain of an aquatic center being able to operate. And so you're very much an important piece. Even if you only work a few hours a week, you're still a very important piece so that the whole facility can run at its best. Landon, you wanna go next here and give us a little insight working at the Covington Aquatic Center?
Sure. So at my facility, we have 70 part-time employees. So that has to do with lifeguards, water safety instructors, everybody in between. And with that 70 people, I would say that you're never going to get around a group of people who are very like-minded like you, very friendly people in that 70. It's kind of crazy. Like my staff, they'll just come in even when they're not working just to hang out. do their homework in the room off to the side, and it's definitely kind of created an atmosphere that people want to be at. I think somebody mentioned about, I think it was Nicole, maybe talking about like the older women that come in and swim in the morning. Our Water X community is very vibrant in Covington. Water exercise is a big like water aerobics thing, if nobody knows what that is. But just coming in and being able to be in an atmosphere where the patrons know you by name, they ask for you by name to teach their classes for you. Being around swim instruction with the parents, we get requests for different people. Oh, I want so and so to teach my kid. And then with my professional staff, I'm in charge of 5 full-time members at my pool. And just seeing them also say like, I learned how to swim at this pool and now I work here as a professional staff is numerous. There's tons of people that do that, or they come in and say, my kids are now in swim lessons here. I learned how to swim at this pool. It's just one of those things in one of those communities where you all can kind of just jump on a Zoom call with 40 different people around the area and we all kind of just get it. So entering into like an aquatics thing and an aquatics world, you very much become like a part of the group and you never leave the group. So I mean, I can see everyone smiling who's on camera right now because they agree, they know. But yeah, once you're in this environment, it's honestly like just nothing else you've ever experienced. And you can lean on the people that are around you. And just being at the Covington Aquatic Center, I mean, I'll just toot my own horn. We have truly the best patrons and the best people that work with me. And we're even expanding beyond that. Like we've helping other cities manage their lifeguards and training them up. And it just kind of becomes a big friend fest. Everyone says, this is my friend, they want to work here. Can they apply? The answer is always yes. So it's one of those communities that you never leave once you've entered into it.
Thank you, Landon. Yes, I guess we're selling you. And hopefully, yeah, you get to join this community. I mean, you're already taking a step to just be on the call tonight. So you're already in. Gosh, yeah, and I just noticed that Andy's joined us. Great. So Andy is joining this panel. He's coming fresh off of coaching a high school swim team. But Andy, we'll give you a minute here and maybe you can give an introduction. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Andy Bernard. Yeah, sorry for being late. I coach high school prep boys, and we just started this week. And I forgot that our practice time moved later this year, so I got out of practice at 6:10 and rushed home. But I supervise lifeguarded beaches for Seattle Parks and Recreation. And I also help out with a lot of our lifeguard training classes and our temporary staff hiring in kind of our off season. So I tend to do the bulk of my lifeguard hiring in spring and early summer. So like end of March, I start looking at applications and I keep hiring until like the end of June. And let's see, we have 9 lifeguarded beaches. When we have them all open, we typically need about 100 lifeguards. So it's a big, I just disappeared from my own video. I don't know how that happened. It's a big undertaking that we need a lot of staff for. We're still growing to try and get back to full capacity after a few off years with the pandemic. And yeah, that's I guess what I have for an introduction. Happy to answer any other questions folks might have.
Okay, we're gonna give you some questions as we go here, but thank you for your intro and joining us. I think, let's see, I know we've got a few more questions here. Let's see, Jake Davies, I know, let's get to you here. Just if you could talk about what you look for at your facility and explain a little bit about how unique Henry Moses is compared to what everyone's heard so far.
Yeah, so the bulk of our hiring, and I think anyone who hires seasonally could speak to this as well. But anytime you're doing your hiring in spring for the summer, it lends itself to a lot of people in education. So people in early college, people in high school, if they're just looking for a seasonal position. And so there's a lot of like-minded in that way. It can also quickly turn into feeling like summer camp. Like a lot of people have a lot of fun with it, and a lot of it is it's a cultural thing. Whether or not you're working in a facility year round and you're the open shift versus the closing shift, and you see these people on a daily basis, or if you only get to see them once a year for a couple months, you kind of set that culture in what you want to bring to the table. And like they've been saying before, it's all been a part of a team and links in a chain. It only succeeds if everyone works together. And so we look for a lot of that in our employees, specifically at Henry Moses. And the main beach we have is Jean Coulon, which is the south end of Lake Washington. We have about 20 to 25 there in terms of a full beach staff. When we have that running, we'll have about 8 on a day. At Henry Moses, we could have anywhere between 17 lifeguards up on a slow day, or in rotation on a slow day, to 25 to 26 on a crazier day. And so with that, we'll reach closer to about 100 lifeguards alone between the two in a given summer, maybe more. And when it comes, we'll also have guest service staff. So there's also supplemental employees, and there's always this cultural dynamic versus the lifeguards versus the non-lifeguards. And it's always interesting to see. But at Henry Moses, there's not a lot of municipally supported like water parks in the area. I feel like a lot of people think of like Wild Waves or something like that. And so that's kind of uncommon in some ways, but a lot of people had spoken already. I wasn't sure who mentioned it, but people take pride in it. They're like, oh, I used to go to this pool all the time when I was a kid. And I find a lot of that with my staff at Henry Moses. And I felt that way. I used to lifeguard at Jean Coulon. But there's kind of this self-motivation. You don't want to have to worry about someone in the middle of your like staff of the rotation that day. You want to believe that everyone's a team player there, and everyone's going to be trying to cover their water and also a little bit of their buddies, rather than someone, because you have what is called effective zones of scanning, kind of the section of the water that you're in charge of guarding. And that usually overlaps with someone next to you. And so you always want to be the employee that's guarding yours really well and also looking to help someone else out. Maybe the glare is bothering them or something, but you never want to be the lifeguard, and we never want to look for the lifeguard who's going to be, no, they got it for me. I'm all right. I can check out, But in terms of training, we usually we'll do the Red Cross standards. There's about 5 tests or 3 tests with Red Cross. We'll do 5 just modified versions of it, but it's like treading for 2 minutes. It's maybe we'll speak to this more later.
Yeah,
so
Dick, we'll go into a lot more detail.
Yeah.
So hold that thought.
Yeah, so we just have a modified version with us, but that's kind of what it looks like at Henry Moses.
Excellent. And so Tony, I'm going to hand it back to you to continue with our panel questions here.
Yeah, thanks, Susan. And you've both, or a couple of you, touched on something as well, as you have kind of engaged in this profession, and whether it's for a few years or for a lifetime. And that's your own personal fitness is going to be pretty good as you do your skills and learn to swim and become a lifeguard and keep your skills up, and then just have that lifelong exercise option. So there's another great reason. I want to kind of touch a little bit on the swim beach stuff, because we're going to eventually get back to some warm weather. And boy, oh boy, I just often think about those 100-degree days we got in that early part of summer a few years ago, and how that just continued to be a hot summer, and we're going to continue to see huge demand on our beaches. So this is more for Jake Davies and Andy Bernard, but what are you looking for in a summer beach guard, and what kind of hours are folks working, and what does that whole situation look like for you both? Maybe Andy can give us a start.
Yeah. So I mentioned before that kind of my hiring season really runs all the way from the end of March to the end of June. And lends itself well to folks that are in high school and college, who have a lot of time in the summers because our beaches operate 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. So it's a 7.5 hour shift. It's actually 7 hours in the week on the weekdays. So Monday through Friday, it's a 6.5 hour shift. But you know, a lot of folks will work like 30 to 40 hours a week during the summer, um, which is great. You know, there's limits to how much people can work when they're in school during the school year, but summertime, those limits go away, and folks, you know, even younger folks can work full time. So, um, yeah, it's a great way to kind of balance having a job with school because you know when you're on break, you can work a whole bunch. Um, and yeah, typically looking for folks that are a little bit stronger swimmers. Obviously, our swimming areas are larger than most swimming pools, and a lot of our beaches have areas that are deeper than most pools. A couple of them stay pretty shallow, but most of them, you know, our deepest point is a few feet deeper than your typical 12 foot, 11.5 foot swimming pool. So um, and looking for folks that are up for a little bit of a challenge too. I mean, working on a really hot day out there, we'll have you know, sometimes at like Madison Park, it's our busiest site. Sometimes we'll have two, three on a really hot day, even 350, 400 people in the water. Which at that point we've got, we've got 5 or 6 lifeguards up at all times actively watching the water in those situations with lifeguards rotating through. So, you're not out there by yourself with 400 people, but, sometimes we have some really busy days and you will absolutely earn it out there on the beach.
Are you still doing swim lessons as well?
We are, yeah. We have swim lessons. We have Monday through Friday just after we open. So we open at noon Monday through Friday. We'll have swim lessons 12:15 to 12:45. Um, and this next year we are planning to restart also our evening lessons. We'll have I don't know exactly which day of the week the sessions are going to be on, but we'll have an evening lesson that'll be a 5:30 to 6 time slot. And yeah, we offer those for free. We have people sign up. We also typically have space for drop in. With a lot of people having summer vacations and things, we'll have some inconsistent attendance. And if you show up at the beach and you want a lesson, we'll typically have room to add drop in students as well.
Oh, that's a great program. Thanks, Andy. Jake, how about you?
Yeah.
I know you're gonna look to restart your beach operations, but kind of same sort of questions, your hours you're anticipating, and what kind of skills are you looking for in a summer beach guard?
Yeah, Andy, he mentioned Madison Park Beach. It's also on Lake Washington, so I think there's a lot of overlap with kind of what we'd be looking for in terms of employees. There is a little bit more of what's required in terms of what we'd be looking for in an employee, maybe a little bit of a stronger skill set. You should kind of look at any facility you might work at is going to have a lot of nuance to it and a lot of differences. Even the staffing, how does it prepare and things like that. How many people are on duty? These are all things to consider, but the difference, say, for me, it's aquatic center versus a beach, but maybe it's a public pool versus a beach. The main difference between the two is kind of uncertainty. There's a more controlled environment when you have gates around your facility or there's admissions or something like that. Whereas when it goes to a beach, you don't know what you're going to get. For some people, that's really exciting and it keeps the job interesting. And for other people, that can be a little scary at times. I've heard a lot of people who are like, oh, I'd never work at a beach, but maybe I'd work here. And you're like, truthfully, I think as aquatics professionals, we'd never want any of our staff to feel like they have to put the whole thing on their back. That people would be worked together and they would feel supported at all times, that there's always going to be an extra layer of support to everything. Andy mentioned having multiple guards up in rotations that no one's having to kind of stomach it all themselves. And so that kind of comes hand in hand with beaches. But yeah, in general, it's a little more intense. I kind of refer to it often as if you have a water park or a pool, you kind of have this variance, like this tighter level. Like on a really busy day, it's going to go here, and on the lightest day, it's going to be here, but it's always going to be within there. Whereas at the beach, you might have nobody show up and for an entire day because it's raining or hailing, but you got to be there regardless. And at its maximum, there's no capacity in the pool. People the type of people that come to the beach too. Someone won't often pay money to drown if they know that they can't swim. Why would they pay to go to a pool? But if they're at a family barbecue and they see their older brother go out, maybe they're going to try to follow him out there. And so there's a lot of vigilance and preventative guarding, but so long as you have some increased swimming abilities, there's a little bit more expected out of a beach guard and a little more initiative and sometimes less of a script. We do a lot of trainings with the fire department. We'll do some free dives with them and stuff. And it's also a cool opportunity you don't necessarily get working at the aquatic center per se.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've heard you folks talk about 5 a.m, some of the earlier starts for early morning senior swims, and I imagine some of your facilities, pools stay open till 9 or 10 o'clock. Is anybody open later? Not hearing that. Okay, well, Susan, I'll let you kind of bring us home these last 5 minutes with the last couple of questions you want to ask of our excellent panel.
Hey, yeah, and I want to leave time for people to ask some questions too. We've got really a great representation of aquatic managers, and all these folks have trained lifeguards. So there's they've seen everybody start at different places, but they're a fantastic resource. I think, if you could just maybe talk a little bit about, as a new guard, the type of support that you give to a new lifeguard at your facility, and kind of what, that somebody can start maybe, the type number, if they're in school, what their hours can look like while they're in school, but then how that changes and shifts, with the summer, once they head into summer. Nicole, do you want to take that one first?
Yeah. So as soon as we certify a lifeguard, after they're certified for their first guard shift, they do shadow guarding. So they're not left just completely to kind of figure it out themselves. They're introduced into our public swim rules and our lap swim rules, and then they're assigned a senior guard or a guard 2 to kind of hang out with and follow around for the evening. They teach them all the kind of ins and outs of guarding, where the tricky spots are, kind of looking in the pool and everything like that. And then from there, during their schedules, it's usually in the evening time, and it's from 7 to 8 p.m. usually during the school year, and then during non-school years, it's kind of all day open and free for them to kind of pick and choose.
Excellent, thank you. And then I think I'm only gonna just call on maybe one other and then open it up for questions. But Landon, do you want to talk about how you support your new lifeguards?
Yeah, so our lifeguards, we actually, and I'm seeing in the chat as well, we hire at 15. I will take you on at 14 in the 10 months if you can swim, and then we'll just call you a trainee. And when you're new at our facility, we very much run you through how to do all the rotations, how to clean the facility, how to be a part of a team. You don't even necessarily have to come in as a lifeguard. We'll still train you how to do everything, and then we'll put you through an in-house lifeguarding class. I have 9 now. I have 9 lifeguard instructors. So whenever we can hold a class, we'll just do it. And then you'll be certified as a lifeguard. And whatever you need, we can pretty much give to you. I have one person dedicated completely to the scheduling of all 70 people, and she is an absolute rock star at that. So if you're like, hey, for this season, I can only work as a sub-only person because I have really big tests and finals or whatever. Okay, no problem. Keep your eye on the trade board, pick up things when you can, and you just have to come to the trainings once a month. Or if you're like, hey, I want 30 hours, we will do our best to give you 30 hours. We very much cater to our staff, and we're kind of a staff forward facility rather than us telling you kind of what to do. You tell us what you can give us, and then we work around that. So that's what we do with our people. Everyone, if you need more training, we'll give you more training. Yeah, we're very staff forward at Covington Aquatics.
Fantastic. And I know everyone here on the call is very invested in the individuals that come to them, that have want to work and want to have a place that start that's right for them. So I think it's almost universal that you're going to be taken in, and as long as you are a good communicator, responsible, and committed, those are your top qualities. I see some questions going on in the chat. Does anybody want to just ask an open question? And if you feel more comfortable typing it in, but if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, you're more than welcome to. I see a question in the chat. What is the 6 to 8 hours training class thing that was mentioned earlier, and when do we do that? Great. We will talk more about that, but does anybody want to just talk about that online portion?
I can chat on it. That 6 to 8 hour of training is the blended learning for your lifeguard class. So during that 6 to 8 hours, you're just watching videos online, learning, understanding different terms that'll be used during your class in person. You'll see different scenarios. You'll see kind of everything that you're going to do in the water. So when you do come to the pool and start the skills, when we say this is an active victim, you know what that means. And you're like, oh, I kind of remember that from this video. So that's what the 6 to 8 hours of training does. That's even before you become a lifeguard.
Thank you. Great. I see a question just about where's the link and a place for beginner swim lessons. So we'll cover that in a little bit. It's a little bit we do kind of work with you if that's a place that you're starting where you actually need that beginning. That's something that you can express to us when you do sign up to become a lifeguard, and then we can talk more about which facility you are closest to and work with some of the aquatic managers at those facilities to help support you with swim lessons. Okay, I know our time's about 7:01, so I think we need to shift gears. I know our aquatics managers will stay on, and if you do have more questions, they're going to be in the chat too, helpful. So don't be afraid to keep asking those questions in the chat. How's that sound? So why don't we, Alex, move to our next.
Well, thank our managers. Appreciate your time and great answers and information today. So much learned.
Absolutely, thank you. So this is, I could feel the questions sort of mounting around what to expect and what's needed. So when you do register to sign up for a lifeguard training class, you have that online portion that's beginning, and that's something that was just covered. And when you complete that, you need to pass it before you're able to begin the pool training portion. And you need an 80% score is a passing score. And since it is online, you do know just how you did when you complete. And you actually, that's something that you bring with you and show to, once you show for your first day of the in-water portion. There's that pool training, which has a classroom portion each day and water portion. And that can span anywhere from a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or a Saturday, Sunday, or if it's during a school break, it might be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or it might be where it's stretched out over a period of maybe 4 weeks where it's on a particular day of the week. I've seen lots of different permutations of that. And sometimes one type of class setup is going to work better with your schedule. So it just depends. There is that age requirement. I should just mention, when you do that in water portion, you do have your learning skills on the first day, and you're kind of reviewing some of that classroom knowledge that's from some of the online portion. But each day you're going to build your skills, and you ultimately are working up to where you will be tested on those skills. So the lifeguard instructor is doing their very best to make sure that you have enough opportunities to practice. You're not expected to learn these and know these from the beginning, so that's why there's a lot of time spent in the water practicing. And on that last day is where you actually have tests, both in water tests and a final classroom test. You must turn 15 years old by the last day of training. So that's the American Red Cross rule. And there was some mention that, you know, you may be able to be hired at a facility as either, I forget the name of the term used, but more of a junior lifeguard or not quite yet. But to actually be certified, you need to be at a minimum 15 years old by that last day. The requirements, so there's what we call prerequisites, 300 meters of swimming without stopping. So that's not a timed event. You are able to wear your goggles. And that's something where endurance and practicing for your endurance and making sure you have that stamina to be able to swim that 300 meters nonstop. You don't have to be fancy and do flip turns. That's not important. It's swimming constantly back and forth. Most likely in our pools, it's a 25-yard pool. You're going to swim that 300 meters. Treading water for 2 minutes without using your arms. So obviously you're using your legs, but you're learning how to tread water. One of the things that we do with our program is we sometimes offer lifeguard skills strengthening classes where you learn what treading water looks like and how to be an efficient at treading water. But not everyone has been exposed to treading water. But doing that for 2 minutes, and that's another endurance, being able to do that for 2 minutes. The last prerequisite is what we call the brick retrieval. And did any of my lifeguards have a brick that you can hand out? Or my aquatic managers, if you do have one handy, we can show you what a brick is. But it's a rubber weight that's 10 pounds. And I don't even think one's in that picture there, but you, from the pool's edge, the brick gets tossed in the water, and it's usually in about 12 feet of water, depending on the pool. Most are 12. The deep end is 12 feet. And then you're swimming from the edge of the pool to go and go underwater, retrieve that brick. There's different strategies, and there's different ways to go down and get that brick. Go down and get the brick, bring it back up, carry it on with your hands, and carry it on your torso. And you're just using your legs to get yourself back to the edge of the water. And you're asked to do that in 1 minute and 40 seconds. It may sound daunting at first to you, but it is, once you practice and once you learn how to do that and you have more confidence in doing that skill, 1 minute and 40 seconds is very achievable. Right, we want to make sure that you have opportunities to grow the skills from where you are today. And we do that through either assessments, and we work with the aquatic facilities to understand how they do that themselves and how to best connect you to their opportunities. And lifeguard certification, it is valid for 2 years. And after that, you need to recertify your certification, and it's a modified, it's not the full lifeguard training class, it's a modification. And it's a 1 day usually. Okay. You can certainly ask questions in the chat on that, but we'll move us forward to our student panel.
Do we not have a poll after this?
We have a quick poll.
Oh, we have a quick poll. Thank
No,
you.
we've already answered, but we'll see if everybody's been paying attention.
Yes. So, how old, can you see my poll? Tony, tell me if I'm wrong. How old must you be to become a certified lifeguard? And look at this. I don't know if you can hear my Japanese user. Alrighty, just because we have it right here on the screen, if you answered, let me share the results. If you answered 15, that is correct. And just as a reminder, because I did see a few answers that said 16, you must be 16 years old to be a beach lifeguard, and some pools do require you to be 16. So the correct answer was 15, but 16 is correct as well for other circumstances. So I'm going to.
Thanks, Alex.
Perfect, and I'll stop my screen share just so that we can see all the students' faces when we're talking, but while they introduce themselves, I'll leave this up.
That's great. Maybe we'll just go in order, starting with Hannah, and you can introduce yourself and tell us where you work as a lifeguard or other places you may have worked. So Hannah, get us started.
Hi, my name is Hannah. I work at the Meredith Matthews YMCA. And I'm kind of new to this. I just got certified actually back in October. So I've had my first couple shifts. So yeah.
Very cool. Welcome, Hannah. Q.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kian, but everyone calls me Q. I work at the Bellevue Aquatic Center and the Bellevue Beaches. I'm a lifeguard supervisor there, and I became a lifeguard last summer around July, and I really enjoy it.
Good to have you. Armin.
Hello, my name is Armand, and I am a lifeguard at Evergreen Aquatic Center. I've been working here for about 4 months as a lifeguard, and I was a swim instructor prior to that.
Thank you. Vesta.
Hello. I lifeguard for the city of Kirkland. In the summers, I've lifeguarded there for 2 years. And then if I do this summer, it'll be my third. And it's really awesome and really fun.
Very cool. Tyler.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I work at the Federal Community Center with Jake P, and I'm a lifeguard and a swim instructor.
Great to have you all here. So I'm going to start at the bottom with you, Tyler, since you were just on, and we're going to ask you what motivated you to become a lifeguard.
So, not gonna lie, I became a lifeguard just because I needed a job. Like, that's not the most exciting answer, but if you were to ask me now, knowing everything I know, I would definitely say just the experience and the amazingness of getting to see new people every day and meet new coworkers, and just the day-to-day experience of the job is always different. So that's why I'm a lifeguard now, but that's a different answer than if you were to ask me when I started.
Fair enough. And yeah, good answer. Let's see here. Vesta.
Yeah, I became a lifeguard because I also needed a job, and I had been swimming competitively for many years before, and so I was like, that's a good way to put my skills to use. And I also I grew up swimming at the Peter Creek pool, and I wanted to, give other kids the same memories that I had and keep them safe in my community. And it's a really good feeling to be able to pass on the way that you felt when you were young, when you're older. So yeah.
I just love all your facilities. I just got to add in that because I have swum at all of them, and they're just great spots. Armand, yeah, you were gonna tell us what motivated you.
Yeah, it's all good. Initially, I was a swim instructor for a while before I actually became a guard. And I'd say what motivated me was just the fact that I got to connect with the community and just help keep people safe along with my coworkers. And I think a nice part about being a lifeguard, or at least specifically for where I work, is you not only get to know your coworkers as coworkers, but you actually get to have a friendship with them and just get along with all of your patrons and just everyone around you.
Jan.
So initially, when I became a lifeguard, I wanted a job, but now, like, what motivates me is just knowing that I'm able to keep people safe and like connecting with my community, like the other lifeguards already said, and I just like making friends with the other lifeguards, and I really enjoy it.
Thank you. Zephan.
I think Zephan had to fall off the call, but he was on earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, he had to go perform in a concert.
All right.
I definitely say what motivated me was my background in swimming. I also did competitive swimming for a very long time. And that kind of helped me, but I also really wanted to like get a job, and I thought that lifeguarding was a perfect experience because it's the pool was really close to me, and they were also like hiring, and yeah, just being able to make new friends and meet new people and have a diverse workforce is also really cool.
Oh, that's wonderful. And sounds like for all of you, the money's good and the friendships are great and all the rest of it has just been nice surprises. Susan, you want to handle the next question or two with our wonderful panel?
Sure. Thanks, Tony. I'd like you all to talk about what is it like to be a lifeguard where you do lifeguard, and tell us, what is it like almost a day in the life, maybe? Just walk us through a little bit what it's like to lifeguard. Hannah, I'm going to start with you since you're so new at this. It'll be great to hear your perspective. Why don't you go first about what it's like to be a lifeguard?
Okay. For me, I definitely say since I'm in the more early stages, I'm currently on like my second shadow shift. So, my day kind of looks like I go in, I get ready, and then I go to this lead guard that I shadow, and they kind of, walk me through things that we do on the chair, off the chair, our responsibilities, how to scan properly and things to look out for and like things like that. And also just I get to walk through the different protocols of like closing and opening the pool. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great. It's great to hear your perspective as, you're just on that beginning end. And then let's see. Who's been a lifeguard longer? Armand, do you want to talk to what it's like for you to be a lifeguard?
Yeah, sure. So definitely compared to how when I began and now, there's a big difference in how it felt. When I first became a lifeguard, it was a lot more stressing. I was like, oh my God, am I doing this right and everything. But the longer you go and the more you just like get to know the people that you're guarding, your coworkers and everyone, you don't exactly become comfortable because you are still like trying to prevent people from drowning, but you get more just like at home, or you just start to recognize what you're doing more. And on a day-to-day basis, I'd say that it's a fairly just secure job. You can go in, you help set up everything, and you basically just try and make sure everyone stays safe and it's a good environment for all your patrons. And one other thing that I actually didn't know about until I actually started guarding is that there's no one else that really manages the pool aside from the lifeguards. There's no like designated janitor that would like clean up the locker rooms or anything. That's actually a lifeguard's job, and that was just kind of cool to learn later on as I was working.
Yes, you are the caretakers of the facility. Yeah. And you can't look over your shoulder and say somebody else is going to take care of it. I'll just ask you real quick and I'll ask everyone else, but Armand, what do you like most about being a lifeguard?
I think what I like most is a connection to the community. I like when I see different people come in and they're like, oh, hey, what's your name? How's it going? Just like connecting with the different people that come into the pool.
Excellent. Vesta, do you want to walk us through what it's like to be a lifeguard at a summer pool like Peter Kirk Pool?
Yeah. So it's different, if you have like an opening shift or if you have a shift in the middle of the day or if you have a closing shift. But I mean, the same thing for all of those is that you are, doing your job to the best of your ability, communicating, with your peers, but just day to day, you're like going in, you're getting ready, you're saying hi to everyone. If there's swim lessons for the day, you're making sure that the pool is getting set up correctly, and that patrons know where to go for their lessons. And then for open swim, sort of the same thing, you set up the pool, you make sure that there's some toys that can be left out or buckets, and kids like put them on their head. So you make sure there's nothing that's really dangerous in the facilities before people walk in. Yeah, and then you designate people to open and close the pool after each open swim session. And the longer you lifeguard, the more you're helping your peers who are newer to lifeguarding. I found that I was helping a lot of first year guards, like helping them out, like, oh, this is your time to go up on the chair, it's been 15 minutes. Or like if you're just sitting around finding a job to do, like there always is something to clean at the pool. There's never a dull moment. but yeah, I'd say my favorite shifts are closing shifts where you're, cleaning the bathrooms, and it is really gross, but it's very fun because you're blasting music, you gotta scrub the floors with all your friends. Yeah, so yeah, it's really fun.
That's awesome. It sounds like there's a lot of pride in your facility and then the team essence of actually getting it done. And you probably never thought you'd say you enjoy cleaning the bathrooms. Q, how about you? Do you want to add what lifeguarding is like for you?
So starting or like earlier around January of this year, I was promoted to head lifeguard. So my responsibilities like day to day are writing or creating the rotations, making sure that all the lifeguards are staying professional, maintaining good posture, scanning the water effectively. And in case of like emergencies, I'm usually the one that comes and take charge of what's happening. Last weekend, one of my shifts that I worked, there was actually a rescue that one of the lifeguards made. So after that, I had to fill out the paperwork and submit it and stuff. So day to day, that's what my responsibilities look like. And like something or like what lifeguarding, like what part of lifeguarding I really enjoy is like just like getting to see all the people in the community and also like answering their questions. A lot of times I would help out at the front desk and somebody would call and ask like if there would be open swim today and just answering the questions. I just really enjoy it.
Thank you, Q. That's yeah, that perspective on that whole spectrum of what could happen in your day, and just the variation of your day, there's something to look forward to in each element of your job. And Tyler, I don't want to forget about you. You want to add what it's like for you and some of what you like most about it?
So I love a typical day at the place that I work because of the people that go there and swim. They are super sweet. They always have a fun story to tell you, and they're always super welcoming. They usually, like most all of them, I know by first name basis, and they know me. And it kind of feels like a family there because I see them every morning. I get there before 5 every morning and see all the lap swimmers and then the water aerobics classes. And they're all just super sweet. That's got to be my favorite part, and that's what a typical day where I work is just a lot of good mornings, how you doing? Like fun stories and asking how our weekend was. And the staff is also a big part of why I love where I am and what makes it so enjoyable every day is because we're all super tight. It's kind of like a family. And I just think it's a lot of fun. So a day where I work is typically just, I mean, we're always ready for an emergency, but it's kind of like the people we're watching in a pool. We know them. And so it's not like we're watching strangers. It's like, we're watching people we know. So it's a very enjoyable experience.
Well, Tyler, thank you. Thank you so much. And I guess everyone should hear that. If you want to become popular, being a lifeguard and being on deck, you're the it person on deck, and everyone's happy when they get out of the water. And they want to come and socialize with you. And so, yeah, that's excellent. And I love hearing that you're there before 5 a.m. As an early morning swimmer myself, thank you for being one of those people that shows up early and does the early shifts. Gosh, Tony, do you want to jump in here with a question?
Sure, we'll take one more question from each of our panelists, and then as we kind of get close to wrapping up here. And I guess I'll give you the option of either answering if you've had to save someone or prevent someone from getting into trouble, or your alternate question you could answer is, what would you tell someone who wants to be a lifeguard, but, isn't sure about their own swimming skills and where to start? So Tyler, since you've gone last, we'll start first with you.
So I have been a lifeguard about a year and a half, and I have not yet had to jump in, which is a great thing. I'd like to keep that going. But I've had a couple emergencies to help with. Like there was this adult who was playing basketball and he jumped up and his head kind of cracked open at the basketball hoop. And so that was, I I knew what to do. I had some other lifeguards to help me, and we got it taken care of. And another time, my first summer working, a senior had like a heart attack, and so that was a pretty big deal. But thankfully, I was surrounded with a lot of senior lifeguards who knew what they were doing, and it was a great like kind of a wake up call to realize like, hey, this job is real. Like it can be fun, but it's a really serious job. And so I'd say ever since that incident, I've taken it a lot more seriously. And to new lifeguards, I would say you have a lot to look forward to because you're going to meet a lot of interesting and fun to talk to people. A lot of my closest friends I've met working at my pool. And I would just say take the job seriously, but you could also have a little bit of fun too.
Thank you, Tyler. How about you, Vesta?
Yeah, I have not had to get in the water yet, thankfully. The only, sort of scary thing that happened was actually in my swim lesson, um, where I had, two kids went active at the same time, but thankfully I was already in the water, so it was easier to handle. And things like that can be really stressful still. I was shaking my first day on the chair, I was shaking, and you get nervous sometimes, and that's a really good thing because that means you're doing your job and you are ready to do whatever is needed of you. I would say one thing, if you're looking to lifeguard or like things that you can do to help lifeguards, preventative lifeguarding is the best thing that lifeguards do, and that's stopping things before they happen. And almost anyone can help do that if you like see something dangerous and just tell a lifeguard. There was one young girl in one of my open swim sessions, and she would, come almost every day, but she would always say, "Oh, this kid was doing this thing," and she'd like talk to you on the chair. And she was probably like 7 or 8. But yeah, so anyone can help lifeguards, and that's really awesome. But yeah, it's a really fun job. You make the best friends ever. And yeah, and it is serious and it is scary. But that evens out with all the fun you have. So yeah, it's a great job.
Thanks, Vesta. And I know Dr. Laura Mae Baldwin, who's helped us put this on, just loved hearing your answer about the art and science of prevention. So thank you for that. Armand, how about you?
I've only had to really get into the water once, and I wouldn't consider it a rescue because it was mainly just someone's kid that was starting to freak out, and mom was like, "Hey, could you go grab him?" So I had to go help with that. But other than that, just
That
like the
still
others have
counts.
said, it does
That
still count,
still
I guess.
counts.
Okay. It counts. It's a rescue, I guess, but they weren't drowning, unfortunately. But like the others have been saying about preventative things that the lifeguards will do, where you stop anything from, resulting into an emergency. It involves a lot of just yelling at people to walk, don't hit each other, that basic stuff. So that's one thing you can expect when you become a lifeguard. And one thing I will say for anyone that has been considering to become one is please don't let your swimming skills like discourage you. If you have never touched water before and you're just not a great swimmer, that's okay. You will be trained and you'll be built up until you're ready to that point. I was terrible at any like actual perfect like swim styles. Yes, I could prevent myself from drowning, but I wouldn't consider that swimming. And now I'm a guard for like 4 months. So please do not let your skill in swimming discourage yourself from becoming a lifeguard.
Thank you. Q. Jan, are you still with us?
Maybe Hannah can jump in.
Yeah, we'll go with Hannah and then, yeah.
So obviously I haven't made a rescue yet because I'm still very new, but I'd say for any advice that I would give to lifeguards or people that are interested in lifeguarding, I would definitely say go for it because it's an amazing job. You get to, like everyone said, you get to meet amazing people from all different ages and backgrounds. And also, do not be discouraged. I agree with that because becoming a lifeguard, there's a lot of coursework and commitment, but don't let that put you down because at the end of the day, it's worth it. So that's what I would say.
Great, thank you. And yeah, let's go ahead and give our panel a great big hand. And Oh my goodness, learned so much, and thank you for your good work and keep it up.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, panelists. You help make it real to everybody who's on this call and wanting to learn. So thank you. So Alex, we're going to run our last poll here.
Okay, last poll. I know you all are so excited. So, based on what you have learned today, how interested are you in becoming a lifeguard?
And there's no right answer.
And we're so excited to see so many of you so interested. It's really exciting and just motivating to hear. I'll go ahead and end this poll just about now, and I'll share our results, and we can see that so many of you are very interested or fairly interested. And just thank you so much for just obviously staying and sharing your interest.
Yeah, and even if this helps you understand what it is and maybe what it's not what you want to do, that's okay too. Yeah, thank you for being here tonight. We've enjoyed having both the aquatic managers who've worked with lifeguards for a long time share their stories, as well as the student lifeguards. You've been outstanding tonight, so it's great. And we're just, now's the point where we want to point you to this QR code and this link. We'll follow up with it in email as well. And I'm sure somebody can drop it in the chat here. But this is where you will go to sign up to get involved with becoming a lifeguard, and we'll support you. And you'll get signed up. We'll learn a little bit about you. You'll fill out some information. You'll tell us where you're at in your swim journey, and you'll share a little bit of information, but that will help us connect with you, and we'll follow up with you once you do that. But we encourage all of you to sign up to become a lifeguard, and we really want to encourage you to share this with friends. So if tonight you realize, wow, it's always great to lifeguard with friends, and so if you've got a few folks you might want to go through training with you, or you want to make sure they know about it, please share with them. The website link here in the middle under National Injury Prevention Day, that will just guide you to more information about what we are all doing together and what our drowning prevention efforts are all about. And then you'll have some links that will go to more information. If you have questions, there's my email. Reach out anytime, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction. Yeah, so let's see, yeah.
Yeah, we just been so appreciative of all you panelists. Thank you so much. And for Alex and Isabel helping manage the chat and all the rest of it. Special shout out to Dr. Laura Mae Baldwin and Karishma Vahora with the Harborview Injury Prevention and Research Center that helped put this together. And Susan Papalardo, you're just an amazing host and organizer and force in community. So
and Kristen too. I don't want to forget Kristen. She's been awesome.
Oh yes, Kristen, thank you.
This was really a team effort. So when we talked to you
guys, totally welcome, team. Totally welcome.
Yep, and I didn't update our panelist slide. We had some last minute slots here, so everybody, but yeah, we appreciate everyone joining today. There's that link, and I just want to say that this is wherever you're at on your journey, we're here to help you understand the path forward. So ask your questions, and gosh, we really thank you for your time and being here tonight. I know somebody did have the question. I know Jake, you responded with where to find classes on our Splash Forward high school lifeguard training program. We do keep a list of the facilities and where there's lifeguard class, and you do sign up through there, and that's how we register you for those classes. Then we also work directly with the aquatic centers themselves, and we love to get a cohort of students together. So if you really are motivated and you do think you can convince your friends or a peer group, we'll work with you to get your whole cohort to be introduced and get assessed together, and hopefully maybe even take that lifeguard training class together.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna note too that we're gonna German Kur with my program who's also helped. We're gonna write this up and we're gonna send it to the Seattle Mayor's office and the county executive's office, because it's been a great success. Thanks to you all for hanging in there with us and learning about this and exploring. And I think we solved a lot of issues, and we're seeing a lot of development here tonight. It's in the water safety and water recreation promotion area. So, so appreciate you all.
And does anybody have any last questions that you wanna ask here? Feel free to ask them away, but we will sign off for the night if not. But let's see, do we have any questions? Yeah. Yeah, thanks everybody. Okay. And we do, yep, Alex mentioned we have recorded this, so this recording will be available for your friends and others, and feel free to recommend people to watch it. It is a requirement to watch it so that we can support you. It helps us convey all the information that they might have questions about, so we can set them on their journey with good information.